What does it mean to be a citizen of the house of God, to be a member of the household of God? Yesterday, as I was coming through customs to come into the United States, normally what they say to you when they look at your passport and then they give it back to you, they say, "Welcome home," right? I didn't say that yesterday, but normally they do. And I was thinking about what would it be like if you didn't have a passport? What would it be like if you didn't belong to any nation? Right? What if you were somehow just floating? And that has to be kind of one of the worst sensations a human being can feel, because one of our greatest necessities is to belong, is to be part of something, to feel part of a group, part of a family. And when I was a kid and I was here, right, at the apostolic school, one of the biggest things they gave us was the feeling of belonging. And it wasn't just the building, it wasn't the property, it wasn't the view, it was the people that were here. It was Father Stephen Lisinski, who was my spiritual director in my first year when I was 13. He was my spiritual director. Vince, who was pretty much a member of the Formators team here as well. Yeah? To be a member, to feel part. And when it has to do with God, though, it's different. Because what does God give us, right? When you're a citizen, when you belong, you have rights, you have privileges. And what is the great honor? What is the great privilege? What is our great right as a member of the household of God? We have the right and the privilege to be loved by God, to be loved by Him. And that's something that gives us assurance, it gives us security, it makes us feel free. Right? When you say, enter into the freedom of the children of God. It's a freedom because you know that you're loved. You know that you're loved by Him. And perhaps the greatest challenge of life isn't just to know that we're loved by God, but it's to actually make the choice to accept God's love in your life. Because you can know God loves you, it can be an intellectual exercise, right? But if you don't actually feel in your heart and accept the love that God has for you, you will never be able to move about freely. You know, it's totally different. When you're in your own house, you move around, you use the plates, you use the stuff, you go, you lay on the couch. When you're in somebody else's house, you're like, I don't know, should I use this? Did they give me permission? And you feel much more like stiff, right? It's the same thing. When we feel and we know ourselves to be loved, when we know that we're part of that family, then we can move around, we have freedom of movement, and we become one of those living stones. We become part of that building that St. Paul talks about. But it's only when you accept that love. And when you accept that love, you become one of those living stones upon which other Christians and other people that will come after us in history also build and accept the love of God in their lives. Because we come from the apostles, we come from the prophets, and they accepted that. And we come in the long line of different Catholics and different people who have accepted God's love. When you go to St. Peter's in Rome, some of you will have that experience soon. There's a statue of St. Peter, and his foot is sticking out. And pilgrims that come to Rome, it's kind of like the arrival moment. They touch the foot of St. Peter. It's a 5th century statue made of bronze, and the foot is completely smoothed over because of all the people, the long line of pilgrims that have come to Rome to reconfirm in their faith. And so I would invite you, accept the love of God in your life, become one of those living stones, and let others build themselves upon the love of God that you've accepted in your lives.